Okay, so now you have to open the information meeting.
Okay, I have a motion to open the information meeting.
You can
I'll
just
make a
do it as
motion to
chair.
open the meeting.
You can just do it as chair.
Okay,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we're here to have a information meeting about the proposed bond issue for the replacement of the Jersey Heights pump station. These guys, the folks from Old Shelley will walk you through that 50+ year piece of infrastructure that's past its useful life, and we managed to work a little more than half of the money to come from the state. If we managed to move this project forward, which is always a good thing, particularly for the pump station, which most often don't make the clean water priority list, but we managed to. And then the other half, as you'll hear from us, we have sufficient sewer allocation fees that we've collected over the last 20 years to make up the difference. So there'll be no impact on sewer rates at all from this project if the bond is approved. We need to have a bond issue. Just to be clear with you all, why do we need a bond issue? We have all the money. In order to accept the state grant, you must pass a bond issue. That's the requirement of the state. So even though we have the money, we still have to pass a bond issue. So we'll get to questions, but first we really want to have our experts walk you through the details of the project. And we have Jason Booth and Reed Winter here with us from Aldrich and Elliott. And so with your pleasure, Mr. Chair, the plan is to have them walk us through the project. Does that work for you?
Yes.
Great. Perfect. Thank you, Scott. As mentioned, Reed is Jason. We're with Aldrich and Elliott, the consulting engineers for Morrisville Water and Light. So this Morrisville Jersey Heights pump station upgrade. Just as starters, in-person voting is next week, or week after Monday, April 14th, from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. in the Morristown Municipal Building, at 43 Portland Street. So just make it better aware. So project description and background, as Scott mentioned, this pump station is from the 1970s. So this project is refurbishing the existing pump station here. And the existing wet well, installing a new valve vault and necessary piping. There's going to be a new 8x14 electrical control building, so we get all the electrical equipment inside, nice for the operators. We'll decommission the existing sewage pump station. Here are the pumps and motors down there, all the way 20 some odd feet deep. And then there'll be new gravel access driveway so that the operators can come down to the pump station and service it. Just for background of where the pump station is located, it's at 308 Jersey Heights, all on Morrisville Water and Light property, so it won't impact anybody, and it's all on the parcel right next to Boardman Brook. So again, as Scott said, it's from the 1970s. It's hit its useful life. Really can't keep going at its current rate, and a lot of the electrical equipment is from the early 2000s. So mechanical, electrical equipment is past its useful life and is susceptible to breaking and costing more in the future to fix. Since also undersized, as we know, there's been a lot of growth in the area, and the pump station services all the way from the hospital, it flows down the hill, and then also all of the Jersey Heights area as well. So it needs to be upsized to meet current demands, which it's not meeting, and for future demands as well. Here's kind of the project plans. So there's on the left side, there's the new driveway coming in here. And then just a little building up at the front. The existing pump station and generator are located here. And then a new valve vault right there, and new stormwater piping as well to deal with stormwater on the parcel. Estimated construction costs, and the estimated construction cost is $1.3 million. We'll add a 15% construction contingency along with that of $195,000, bringing a total to $1.495 million. And this is all based on the construction pricing of starting this fall in 2025. And here's a picture of the existing pump station, the wet well, the dry well hatch in the back, and the generator and control panel. So the total project cost summary and the bond amount, 1.8 million, holds together the construction costs, construction contingency, other engineering costs, and other costs such as administration, permit fees, and legal fees. And that's how we get to $1.8 million to bond for it. As Scott said earlier, we were able to get subsidy from the state, from the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. And so that's for $998,000. And then Morrisville Water and Light has the sewer allocation reserve funds, and that'll cover the rest of the $1.8 million. And again, so all of this culminates in no sewer impacts, no sewer rate impacts for users. So it'll stay the same. And project schedule, so bond vote is mentioned April 14th. Everything goes well, it passes. We'll continue to finish complete final design and permitting in May. Advertise the project for bidding in June. And then hopefully site work can begin this September. And everything gets cleaned up with the projects and completed in June of 2026 next year.
It's worth noting, the split between the 2 years is in part because, you know, as you probably know, since COVID, it's hard to buy certain things. Take a really long time. So the split structure is get site work done. Most importantly, what the winning contractor likely will do, the first thing they'll do is order the new equipment, because some of that equipment may take 6 months to get here or longer. So that's why it takes so long. It's like, this isn't that big a project. Why does it take so long? That's why, because we're anticipating, we don't know, maybe the vendor has a pump sitting at their shop, right? But highly unlikely this stuff takes a long time to get in today's world. Is that fair, guys?
Absolutely.
Yep.
The electrical equipment especially, and it's not constant construction. There'll be a winter shutdown, you know, end of October all the way to, you know, April. But it's a projection of when contractors have availability and of when they're able to get supplies as well, which is tough to get. And then lastly, what happens if the bond vote does not pass? The village would be then ineligible for that 55% subsidy from the state. So we'd have to find another way to come up with that funding. As this project still needs to happen, as the pump station is outdated at this time. And then delays in completing this work, as we know, with inflation and everything, it's only gonna get more expensive year after year, and things aren't getting cheaper, so. That's all I have.
The only other thing I'd have you guys
Yeah.
talk about, because I'm sure somebody will ask, is, so during construction, is there ever a time when people are gonna be told they can't flush their toilets, or is this thing designed to, have you come up with a construction methodology to basically make the system available at all times?
Yes, everybody will be able to use the sewer. There will be bypass pumping the whole time, so there will be no obstruction of sewer service during construction. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
A question, and
Yeah.
can you explain, kind of know what it is, but some people
totally.
might not know what pump station
Oh,
does
absolutely.
and how important it is to have.
Yeah,
Give you-
totally. So sewer systems, it flows, gravity is kind of the main force, so it all goes to the low point. And that happens to be right there at Boardman Brook as the low point that makes sense for all the sewer to convene. So then it pumps it back up to Main Street. So it pushes it back up the sewer. And then it goes back to the treatment plant by Bridge Street is where it goes to. But so it's getting it from one elevation very low where, you know, it makes sense for all the sewer lines to go all the way up to Main Street. Thank you, I appreciate it.
So we kept this pretty short because we wanted to get you the core information, but it's an information meeting, so it really is, what do you want to know more about? What questions do you have? That's really the purpose. That's why we have these guys here to answer any questions you've got.
How might the state funds be affected by federal funds that may be held up?
So we'll see. I'd say, and I'd have you guys hop in if you see it differently, and please do if you disagree. What I would say is going in our favor is that, you know, the clean water priority funds have been consistently around for a very, very, very long time. They were around when I was Secretary of ANR in the late nineties and early 2000s. They were around long before that. And they've been consistently through the first term of this administration. They weren't touched. So if anything's going to survive this, I would think the clean water priority funds are as safe as it gets. Does that mean that they couldn't be touched? There's no surety in life, and you know, but I'm pretty confident that these should survive the scrutiny just based on the history. The administration is aware of just how far behind our public infrastructure is in terms of, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars and more of water and sewer needs around the country. So and I think there's a huge constituency on both sides of the aisle in Congress to support water and sewer funding in particular. That's my view. If you guys see anything different, you want to add anything, please do.
Nothing different, just something to add there. We're constantly on top of this with the state and discussing this with Water Investment Division for funding of this project and many other projects. What we've heard from the state is that the prior fiscal years and this current fiscal year, which extends to June 30th of 2025, is completely funded, and that funding is not going away. We're hearing confirmation that the IIJB money, the infrastructure bill money, the bipartisan infrastructure bill money, which was approved a few years ago, is remaining intact, and that's some of the money that the states are using right now to fund infrastructure. So those programs are remaining intact. We're also hearing through EPA, through the state, that the SRF programs, as Scott alluded to, are going to continue to be funded for the foreseeable future. Certainly, who knows what happens? That could all change tomorrow. You know, it's like the roulette game. You wake up in the morning and figure out what happened overnight. But at this point, what we're hearing is that all allocations that have been made through the SRF program are intact. IIJB is funded, and it sounds like future funding is going to continue.
The other thing that would be going for us in that is, and again, things can always be done differently, but historically, there's a difference between your project being done and being at risk while the project is being constructed versus, you know, what they, for clawback purposes, versus what they call obligated. So typically, particularly with this program, it's not that Congress has never clawed back money before. It's happened not so much in this program, but in others. What the federal government usually considers is if you have your grant agreement in place with the state and you have a contract in place with your contractor, you're obligated. The funds have been obligated. That's what they call, that's their term of art. Once you're obligated, I'm not aware of them ever clawing money back after it's been obligated. So again, could something happen different this time? It could, but historically, when they've even taken such a draconian act to try to pull anything back, they haven't touched any project obligated.
So I think if there were any risk, it would be for future SRF obligations, not what is currently obligated.
Exactly.
And this project in particular falls under a current SRF obligation.
Correct.
To the state. So
Right.
To be clear on that, though,
Yep.
if this bond doesn't pass.
Yep.
That jeopardizes that
That goes
obligation.
away.
Is that a yes or no?
It could.
Okay,
However, if you pursue a revote on and it passes, you're still funded under a current obligation because you stay within the fiscal year under which you were originally funded. And if I believe that would be, and the fiscal years are really odd for them, that would be a 2025 fiscal year that they're currently in, which is where your funding for this project is coming from, and that's already been obligated. So you wouldn't dip into a new fiscal year, which would start July 1st, 2025, which would be FY 26.
But we have to get, I mean,
You would have to
Yeah.
still pass a bond vote. and-
before June 30th.
Yes,
Which would be hard.
which would be hard.
Time that's
Yeah.
left, just the notice requirements are
Yeah.
very difficult.
Yeah.
Other questions for us?
Any concerns, any?
Anything, yeah.
I had a question about, the presentation.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
mentioned, that one of the first things will be to construct a new driveway.
Yes,
And so, is that in a place where there is an existing driveway? It just needs to be made larger or longer or?
currently there is no driveway. Currently, the operators go down a staircase
Mhm.
right there, but it makes it very hard to maintain equipment and, have access to it and do maintenance. So being able to get down there, and Kevin can speak to this more as well, of how that actually improves the functionality of everything down there.
So that driveway will be on
The left, I can, yeah,
You're right near the property side.
a little bit hard to see.
Yeah.
Right on the property line.
on towards here,
Yep, right there.
and so here's the building. And so the
You can see by
driveway
the
comes
grade.
in off Jersey Heights. And follows right here and goes there, and so they can access the pumps and take the pumps in and out from their truck and.
So if you're standing at the road, it's down at the pump station, it's on the left, comes in on the left-hand side.
And so right now, what they currently do is pull off here,
Mhm.
and there's guardrails, and then there's a staircase here.
So it's like before the guide rails was.
Just a little bit before. There will be some that'll have to be taken out, but yes. And then the brook is there.
We did, just so you know, on the driveway, we did talk to the neighboring property where they have a driveway there to see if about sharing and totally fine. He wanted to have his own separate facility, ability to enter his own property and was of course within his right. So, but I want you to know that we did ask about that and inquire, so.
Yeah.
We have Jeff for Hillary. What's your question? Oh, it must be Hillary. Hi, Hillary.
Jeff's here too, he's cooking.
Okay.
So I had a question about the reserve fund and how the payment for this project would affect the reserve fund and how it would be replenished after it's paid for.
Sure. So we have this sewer allocation fund. I think it currently has right around $1.5 million in it. There's change one way or the other there. So we would, it depends on, so the answer is it depends on what the interest rate that the state bond bank offers us. So it's possible that, yeah, we have to lock that down though. We think it'd be 2.
2% is typical for the
Yep.
loan program.
So at 2%, we'd have to do math, right? So we could either adopt this document, enter into the bond with them and then prepay it and be done with it. Or we could take the bond and use the time value of money. If your money gains value over the interest rate, you might as well wait and use the sewer allocation fund over a 10-year period to make an annual payment, right? So we'll look at which is the most financially available when we actually see the final loan documents from the state. And, but either way, that's how we'll use those funds. It'll either be either a one-time payment or a series of payment over a number of years, whichever is financially best for us. The way it will be replenished, to your question there, is every time there's a new request to hook on to the sewer system and on the Morrisville system, there's a sewer allocation fee paid. So all the recent development is paid in to this fund. Any new development that comes after this will pay into the fund. That's how it will be replenished. The next likely call on these funds, something could come up that we don't know about, right? But typically you refurbish your main treatment plant on about an every 30-year basis. We built that plant in 2008, so that would mean around 2038. Maybe we can extend it 5 years more. Maybe we'll have trouble before that. Everyone has a different experience, right? and something else could come up. We don't have big old, brick pipe arches running through town that just collapse and need a car like Burlington has, for example, and other places. So, a lot of towns have surprises that come up. We're pretty confident in our system. We don't see surprises coming, is what I would say. So probably so we'll have a good decade plus to keep rebuilding this fund. An allocation fee for a major rehab of a treatment plant. These reserves don't usually pay for the whole thing at that time. You'd anticipate it costing more. But before then, the bond that was passed in 2008 to pay for the last upgrade will have been paid. And so we'll be in a good financial position to take a bond to replace that bond to do the next upgrade. That's how it usually works. So we should be in pretty good shape, Hillary, with this. And as it moves on, to some extent, it depends on how much growth happens in town, right? That's how it'll grow.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Hi, Jim.
Scott, I'm curious, we have a stormwater problem up in, behind the Charlemont. And, 40 years ago, I think, roughly, the town attempted to deal with it and, it hasn't worked. And, I know ultimately this area, I don't know where the sewer service area goes, but I believe it probably stops near the Charlemont. But I don't know, potentially this area, there's a lot of open land behind the Charlemont. I believe the Charlemont owns it. And a lot of that could be housing. Right in the middle of that field is a 6-inch pipe that's conveying a stream down to roughly where AOT did the culvert work on Route 15. And that pipe was improperly put in at the time. Basically, the town gave money to the landowners to fix the problem. And now now there's been considerable development up there, Sunset Terrace. I forget the name of the road behind Sunset Terrace, that whole area, and then including up Trombley Hill where the solar farm is, Morse's place. So now there's way too much water going down. And the landowner on that right there, who's most directly affected by it, is willing to donate land. And I work with the conservation district, or he owns the land, it's on his property. And the conservation district is willing to sponsor a project, but there's going to be a need to raise some money. And my question to Albert Elliott is if they're familiar with the Whisper program. And I know maybe Burlington did it once. But anyway, it would borrow money based on your construction loan, and it would actually give you a lower return rate, a lower interest rate. So it wouldn't be 2%, it would be like 1.2%.
It's less than that, but yes, it does decrease your loan, your interest rate. It is an opportunity. You can sponsor yourself or other communities can sponsor you. It depends, again, like you're saying, Scott, on what the loan terms would be.
That's right.
We're working on a project right now where we are pursuing Whisper funding and the community can't sponsor themselves because they have a 0% interest rate that the state's offered them. So they can't they're not gonna go negative on the interest rate. Drinking water used to do that. Clean water's never done that. So they're finding another community to sponsor. It's an opportunity. It's out there. It's a relatively new program. Not a ton of communities have taken advantage of it. But we can talk more about it if you want.
We're not looking for, we're looking probably for, the total project cost is probably around 50,000.
Yep.
It's not a huge project.
Sure.
And I think what we're looking for is to find a way to cover the match with the state. If they got a clean water service, provider project. So the match, I think, is around 20% now.
I thought it was 10, but yeah,
Okay, maybe it's 10.
yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking for, $5,000 or $10,000 in match money so that the town, because again, this is the town's sort of. It's the landowner's headache, but the town is involved and the town gave the funding to fix the problem and the problem wasn't fixed. So,
So we'll, let us look into that. We actually have a joint meeting with the select board coming up in 2 weeks. And since they're really responsible for stormwater and we have wastewater, we could talk to them about their interest in helping with this. They could even potentially be a sponsor depending on what you were talking about.
Yeah, so this project would have to sponsor that project.
Okay, yeah,
And then what happens is this project would get a lower, an interest rate deduction.
so what does it mean for us to sponsor it, Kevin?
It's not very much.
Okay.
Basically, what happens is the whisper applicant would be the receiving community.
So in that case, it would be the
So
town.
that would be the town.
Yep.
You would have to sponsor it. What the state does is they increase your loan that they give
Yep.
you, but they reduce your payment by adjusting your interest rate, and then that increase in your loan goes to the receiving community
All right,
that you're sponsoring. So we can talk about what that looks like. There's a new application process for that.
Yep.
That's just
Well,
recently available. So
I'll ask this to be added to the agenda for the joint meeting on the 16th. For
We
those of you
could-
that don't know, we're having a joint meeting with the select board on the 16th at the Tavy building.
maybe we could just catch up on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Scott.
Yeah, but thank you. Jim. What else?
you guys ever fixed that, manhole that was up in Jersey Heights that was,
They come in April 14th to do some underground locating, so we can figure out where best to daylight it or dump it in the culvert. Or get it in storm drain on the side.
Oh, yeah, that, okay, I wasn't sure which one, what you were talking about. Yeah,
We just talked with the town yesterday about paving once that work is done, so
Whereabouts in Jersey Heights?
just down below your house.
it's to deal with all that, that spring that's on the ground.
Goes in that
Well,
man.
It never stopped running.
Where that,
Gotta be a spring. I don't know what else it could be.
where they have the permits to build that new.
Yeah,
Townhouse.
we tested it. There's no fluoride or anything in it, so it's not coming out of our water system. So
wouldn't you know it?
you'd think we would know it and we could hear it, but we've even tested it to make sure. So we believe it must be a big spring or something just coming out of the ground there.
That was the old line to my house.
So. But yeah, so we're trying to figure out how to get that daylighted. It may be as simple as, one of the things we don't even know is, does the old sewer line, which we don't use anymore, which the water runs through a lot, does that actually go over the top of the town's culvert? Because if it does, we could just drop it, dig it and drop it right in, right? Which would be handy. Or do we have to figure out how to daylight it somehow, you know? So
Stay tuned.
first thing is to figure out what the heck's even out there. A lot of infrastructure out there, we gotta figure it out. Well, what I would say is, feel free, Kevin's all over this, he knows the most about it, I know some. And we can get you in touch with these folks, but if you have lingering questions, you just wanna talk to somebody, reach out, please, you know. We're not allowed to ask for your vote, that's, not something we're allowed to do, so I won't do that. Everybody set? Great.
Okay, there being no further questions or comments, can I get a motion to reconvene the trustees meeting?
I'll make a motion to reconvene the meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Scott
Trustee meeting, it'll
Scott
be-
just mentioned April 14th, our village meeting. Probably said that, right?
I think I did, but April 14th is our village meeting and that's the day you vote. Who made the motion to reconvene? Sorry,
I did.
Brad,
Brad did,
Yes.
Tom, you seconded it,
Yes.
and everyone voted yes?
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
sorry. Catching up. And I have no agenda adjustments for you.
okay,
They have like 350, 40s. Yeah, so, but I think it's good, yeah, and I don't think it'll make sense anymore going two person, just because we kind of did.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
thank you.
guys, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin, appreciate it.
We still have people online. Did you want to open the public comment?
Yeah, any public comments?
So, Jeff and Hillary were now in the regular meeting of the trustees, so if you have anything else you wanted to talk with them about tonight, this would be the time. You don't seem to be popping in, so I think you're good.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from March 19th, regular meeting?
Make a motion.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, I got a motion to approve the check register.
I'll move to approve it.
I'll second.
Okay, all those,
Have it.
discussion?
Yeah. You can find it again.
I got a question about, let's see. Zero balance. $11,424.
That's our MWIC billing, Stony Brook. I don't know why,
MWEC zero balance.
I don't know why there's zero balance as part of their name, but it's the MWIC, it's power cost.
Okay.
For Stony Brook.
For Stony Brook?
That's when we're a part owner, right?
Yeah.
We're the owner of that facility, a part owner of that facility down in Mass. I think it's in Mass, right?
I think so.
When you say Stony Brook, I think of the condo development, so.
No,
I thought that's where you were going with
it's a power development, I think it's either oil or natural gas, I forget which, but it's one of those two, so.
And the other one is on, Vermont Community for $636.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 13.
I'm pretty sure that's newspaper.
Oh, okay.
Probably ads.
Yeah,
for-
that's the name of
job
the
posting.
conglomeration that owns the newspapers. I think that's about, okay,
What did you have, Tom?
It just, and I'm sure you told me this, but I don't remember. Is it Morrisville Water and Light? Or seven,
More than likely, it's our electric bill.
7,900. Okay.
Pay ourselves, and that's 7,000 is probably that yours, Kevin? What page are you on?
16. 7,990.
I just want to see, is that the
Yeah.
total or is that multiple bills? So,
There's a multiple.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
Treatment
wasn't
plan
sure.
as well.
I've got another question on page 17. Stockweather in Shepley.
yep, that's our property insurance.
Okay,
Hopefully on the right, it says.
it says property
Okay,
insurance,
yep.
yeah,
So we actually have.
but it says
two-
PERMA, that's for the.
Well, it's, we get our insurance through PERMA, Public Utility Risk Management Association, but then it's like sub. And that's only part of it. Somewhere else on this report is the other part.
All right, any other questions on the check register?
Brad, questions?
Brad, you good?
I'm fine. Nope.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, so all those in favor of approving the check register?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. The ayes have it. Okay, the next item is the excavator purchase.
Yeah, so we went out and got some more information for you. We got a quote from John Deere. I shared with you what I've been able to find about where things are built. With the John Deere, it's a little unknown right now, as they're entering a new partnership agreement with a different company to build them for them. So it's either in wherever it was, Kernsville, North Carolina, if it's under the Hitachi agreement, or it's on, or it would be more likely in Linz, Austria, if it's today under the new agreement, or eventually under Menominee, Wisconsin, once the new agreement with Wacker and Newsom is finalized, so. We also found out that the Sannies are made in Georgia.
Okay, that's the one you wanted, right?
That's the one that we would recommend,
Yep.
yes.
And that
Okay.
gives us the 26,000 or something, or some kind of rebate.
We got a rebate on that one, and that one comes with a 5-year, 5,000 hour warranty.
Mhm.
And they actually sent it to us. CCR in Essex is the company that actually is selling it.
Mhm.
And from the management team for municipalities, they offer a no downtime, so if, for instance, if it needs a part and it's more than 240 hours, I believe is what it was written, that they will instantly bring you a loaner. So you don't have to worry about it being down for a long period of time and stop your projects.
Now, can you buy a service contract with this?
I can find out.
Just because I know you're gonna have to overhaul these things like
Eventually.
big maintenance, like every 1,000 hours.
Yep.
Well,
Um,
they all do, I'm sure, yeah.
But yeah, they all do
We can
that.
look into that, we probably can, I'm guessing we could
All
have
right, but,
that, not included,
It's not
is what I
included,
would say.
but the $20,000 rebate or discount is included in the
That's
109.
included in that, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay,
That's netted out.
all right, any other questions?
You good with that, with Sandy? I mean, confident with it?
I feel, from what I've asked around town and asking other excavator operators and such, getting good pros.
Good,
I
okay.
haven't ran into any negatives. Everybody says it comes right down to the price as well as the warranty.
Yeah.
They're really selling their warranty and it's made right here in the United States.
Mhm.
Okay.
I just know when you call some of these places for service, not warranty, for service.
Yep.
I mean, like Milton Cat or something, they're gonna send a couple guys out, but it's gonna cost you thousands of dollars.
Standing's warranty covers the service guy, traveling service guy. That we did discuss already. So if this machine goes down, their trucks come to the job site and it's all under warranty
Okay, but we don't need a maintenance
For
contract.
for 5 years.
for 5 years.
So we don't
After
need a
that, we
maintenance.
will. After that, after
Okay.
5 years.
After 5 years,
But I mean, if they're gonna change the oil and change the injectors and the regular maintenance.
if we call them for the regular maintenance, yes, they'll come out.
Okay. Do I have a motion to buy the Sandy excavator?
I'll
I'll make
move
a
that we,
motion.
either way, I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, all those in, any more discussion?
No, I'm good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You just got
Thank you.
yourself an excavator.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Very
guys.
Yeah, thank you for researching it and,
Yeah.
being with us.
You're welcome.
That's good
We'll
stuff.
make it
yeah.
worthwhile.
Oh, yeah.
And our new working foreman helped Rusty a lot, Nick LeBlanc